What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor, and today we have an extra special video for you guys. We managed to get Jeremy from Financial Education to come on and, just speak with me. And it went on for a while, more than an hour worth of footage. Jeremy was an absolute gentleman. He was a legend. He was so easy to speak to, and there was so much valuable information that came out of this video. I don't want to waste any of your time since this is such a long video already, but please can I ask you to smash that like button. This video took a lot of time to get prepared. Please hit that juicy subscribe button if you're new around here, people. Join the family. And please do drop me a comment down below. Let me know if you found anything in this video interesting, and also just show Jeremy some love. With that being said, guys, straight into the video.
What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor. I got a t-shirt to say it. And on the screen right now, you see a face that every single one of you guys will know if you have found your way to my channel. We have Jeremy from Financial Education, all the way in Las Vegas. As I'm recording, it's 7:47 in the morning here. It's 11:47 p.m. where he is, but somehow he's made the time for us. So, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Just another night in Vegas. I'm a night owl, so I'm all for it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Not out at Planet 13?
No Planet 13 tonight. No channel checks tonight. We'll take the night off. So.
Okay. Right.
But
so,
yeah.
Jeremy, realistically, two main things I want to speak about today. The biggest, obviously, being the stock market, and I'm sure that's what a lot of people will be here for. I also really want to know a little bit more about your journey, how your strategies have developed, and I'm really interested in you as a businessman, because I don't think that's something that enough people see. And me now getting into YouTube more and more, I realize that there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. So I have a few questions in regards to you and maybe your other businesses that are outside of YouTube as well. So it'll be a nice mix.
Absolutely.
So to start things off, could you just tell us a bit about yourself? Maybe what you were doing before YouTube, before you got involved in stocks, where you were working before YouTube, just things along those lines.
Absolutely. So anybody that doesn't know me, my name is Jeremy. I have a financial education channel. It's called on YouTube, as well as second channel, Financial Education 2. Nowadays, I appreciate it. Nowadays, mostly talk about the stock market investing, stocks and buying, things like that. Prior to YouTube, I started, minimum wage worker, Einstein Bagels, back 18 years old, 19 years old, got a job there, from there, Walgreens. Then got my first good job making 40, 50K at a company named Quick Trip out here in the United States, QT, being a manager over there, and just started stock market investing like 18, 19, even when I had like hardly any money. And because I was just looking around, I'm like, even though I didn't have much money, like $1,000, less than $1,000, it was like, I knew like if you're gonna like have financial success in this world, you have to have a way for your money to make you money. Like I just understood like there's a concept out there of like your money working hard for you, your money making you money. So I was like looking around, what can I do? And like I came across stock market investing. I was a little lost at first, and then I kind of found Warren Buffett, and that's the guy that really like spoke to me in a way where it was like just like we were just on the same like wavelength and long-term investing and focus around making business decisions and those sorts of things, and like not trying to trade in and out of stocks or anything like that. And so that was where I really got rolling with things. And so like, as I always worked, I just put more money towards stocks, invest it, got great gains, invest it, the money compounded. Next thing you know, I had like 200K and I was like 24, 25 years old. And, to me at that point, coming up from a minimum wage worker at 18, 19 and like having 200K in stocks, like that was like a big accomplishment. I thought I was super rich, I'll be honest. And like now I look back and I'm like,
I was the same. I was a minimum wage, and I think minimum wage over here is even less. And so it's about €350, which as of right now is somewhere like $390 maybe. Okay. And then last week on YouTube, I already put up a video about my earnings, so it's not like I'm leaking anything. We made, between YouTube's and this merch that I dropped, $2,400 in a week. And I was just
Congrats,
like, it's $2,400, but I felt like the richest man in the world coming off the back of what I had known before. You know what I mean? And I started off very similarly in that, I got to a minimum wage job that nobody liked. Then I started following what was a passion of mine, fitness, but still the money in that industry was by no means good. And then I started to realize, okay, look, I'm really limiting myself here. I need to find something that's exponential. And I always knew YouTube was. I've been into YouTube and social media since I was 16. I just never really knew how to monetize it properly. So that's how I got into YouTube and actually taking it seriously. And it all just happened that I started investing and joined the crash. I said, I'm going to make some videos on this. And for whatever reason, a few people have started to watch. And now we're in this situation here. And it's crazy because I think a lot of people started off like you did, myself included. A lot of us would have been in that position, not making much money whatsoever, realized that we wanted to make a lot of money, didn't know exactly how to do it, but we just started. And I also think a lot of us look to Warren Buffett as our first kind of investing man, myself definitely included. The long-term aspect of things. I know there's almost a new generation of investors coming in now where we wouldn't share the exact same beliefs Warren Buffett would still have to this day, but we all stand for that long term. We don't need to touch stocks. We just hold them and make money, you know?
Yep. Yeah, 100%, you know? And so, you know, that kind of led me to, you know, I was kind of like, I moved out here to Vegas. I moved from Charlotte, North Carolina, left Quick Trip, and I was kind of just done with like the corporate grind and like working for a company. And I was just like, I want to be my own boss. So when I came to Vegas, I just knew I wanted to do something. And so I kind of like took a year off from Quick Trip, like not just a year off from Quick Trip, like a year off from doing anything. And that kind of led me to like, I got to start a business. Like I can't live off this money. I was getting into some bad habits around starting a short-term trade and things like that. And next thing you know, I was like I got to do something. So I started a real estate marketing company, and then I started the YouTube channel almost at the same time, just shortly after. And the real estate marketing company is what like led me to like make enough money where I could fund YouTube essentially. Because YouTube, man, you know, I'm you know, it's a blessing that you guys, you know, on the come up now can start doing pretty good right off the rip. But man, in my, you know, when I was starting out in 2016, you know, there was nobody. There was literally nobody I could look at, man, and be like, oh, that, you know, there's this successful person or something like that. It was like, it
wasn't a trend back then, and I'll happily say it is now. And I hopped on a trend, you know, as people do. I was like, I've made YouTube videos for years, but they were, as I said, fitness related. Then I just so happened to get into stocks, etc., and I saw a trend that was happening. You know what I mean? One of the biggest market crashes that most people who are alive will have seen, at least in recent history. I know it's nothing to the dot-com bubble, etc., but I see this absolutely crazy time, and a lot of people start making videos, and I saw they're getting a lot of views, and I had already known that CPM was really good, so I hopped on a trend, and I'll say it from the start. You know what I mean? But you didn't really have anybody to look to, and I suppose this comes back. The people didn't hear this. This was before I was recording, but I was talking about copying videos on YouTube and stuff, and I've been told I've copied you many times, and the truth is, like, I'll watch your videos, you know what I mean? I watch other YouTubers' videos, and I take things from your videos, and I will happily say the similarities in certain of my videos that there is to yours. But that's part of the platform, as what we had said before. But you back then, I would imagine that every single piece of content you had was just originated by you. I doubt there was many videos you could even watch, which that must have taken a lot of work, because I know a lot of us guys are intertwined now. There's Discord group now where people feed us information. I get messages on Instagram every day. People feed me information. Whereas for you, you just had Google, I'd imagine.
It was definitely, it was a lot of originality. It was a lot of just wanting to speak about what I wanted to speak about on that day. Even back then, I would cover a lot of like my passive income journey. And, you know, now if you watch the channel, it's almost all stock market, because that's just what people want from me. And, you know, that's fine with me, because that's what I love to talk about, stocks every day. But if you go back to 2016, 17, Jeremy, a lot of passive income talk, where I was at with my journey, my real estate marketing company, entrepreneurship, that journey and things like that. And kind of documenting, that process. And, you know, it was what it was. You know, it was a good time, but there wasn't a lot of people that were successful. And, you know, I talked to people like Graham Stephan, you know, a friend of mine, and he's like, you know, you inspired me. I remember when you hit, you know, 50,000 subscribers, it was like a huge thing for like, you know, no one had done that before. And, you know, and now he inspires me. It's funny. I inspired him. Now he inspires me.
I know,
it's
nuts.
It's crazy, man.
It's the cycle. It's nuts. It's crazy. That's sick, man. That is absolutely sick. Out of interest, if you weren't on YouTube right now, what do you think you would be doing? Would it still maybe be that real estate business, or would it be something to do with stocks, maybe in a hedge fund?
Yeah, I think I would have probably kept building the real estate business and maybe added some employees and things like that and try to scale it. Or I would have just moved on to another business. I feel like there's no doubt I would still be an entrepreneur. And I would be building something. But if it wasn't for, like, if YouTube didn't succeed, you know, I probably would have kept rolling with that, built that out, and then probably focused on another business, because I felt like that was probably a limited business model. And I've kind of always been about, like, let's try to scale to something bigger. So yeah, there's no question. Like, I'm just not the type of person that honestly can work for a company.
My parents said that to me from a young age as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
They said you won't be able to work for someone. It's just who I am. You know what I mean? But as well, that's what attracted me to YouTube, is the exponentiality of it. You know what I mean? It's like you work a normal job. And I said this in my last video about earnings. You get a raise maybe 6 months or a year, and it's a relatively small raise. Whereas with YouTube, the amount of work you put in actually dictates what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And you can get a raise every month or even every 2 weeks, something like that, if you had to put in more work, which is what would have really attracted me from the beginning. And that's why a lot of people have said I'm crazy, because me, man, I upload right now. I double upload Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I upload Monday through Thursday. And I had one day I didn't upload a video in the last pretty much 5 months or so, just because it's exciting what's happening. You know what I mean? And I'm waking up now, and I'm happy to wake up early to record a YouTube video because I enjoy it. You know what I mean? Whereas if I had to even get up at 12 o'clock to go to work, a job I wasn't happy in, I'd be like this. Whereas, you know what I mean? It's just a crazy concept that we could do this. But
yes, absolutely.
I'll get into some more stock related questions. Okay. And the first one I want to ask about is actually, how do you deal with losses? Okay, especially when you're so open about your stock picks. This might apply to me more so than most people who watch YouTube, but I hope it isn't a sore spot. But let's bring up Carnival, for example. Okay, because I remember this is one of the first companies I saw go really wrong when I was actually watching your channel back when I was brand new to investing. And I start to get it on a regular basis now. I speak about a company. I'm open about the fact that I'm buying them. They might go down 5% in a week, and people are very quick to criticize, even though we're long-term investors, and that company I plan on holding on to for years. So does it bother you, or do you just let the winners speak for themselves?
I think it bothered me in the early days, to be honest. I feel like in the early days it bothered me when I first got on YouTube, because when my channel finally started to succeed, the stock that I talked about more than any other was a GoPro stock back then, and it went so bad. And so I will say it was a sore spot for me for a while, because I'm like, here I am. I had so many years of phenomenal success. And here I am finally getting out in the world and talking about this, and my first big stock is a failure. And so it was a sore spot for a while. And then eventually I got over it, because I had a lot of success and a lot of successes. And then, people got to see, like, oh, this guy actually knows what he's doing. He's actually really good at this. Like, he might make a mistake once in a while, but it's few and far between. And so that's kind of how I judge myself, and I don't get too down about things. And with something like a Carnival, I always look at a stock, if it goes really good or really bad, I always look at it on an individual basis. So something like a Carnival, the way I'll look at it is, that's a once in 100-year event. Like, travel stocks just got absolutely nailed. I got in that one right before, unfortunately, the Rona took off. And sometimes, man, you're going to have some really good luck in the market, and sometimes you have some really bad luck. For instance, Tesla, we're up over 600% on, and I'm blessed. But, to be honest, it's more than just skill with a stock like that. It's some luck, right? Because, Tesla's factory could have burned down, or some unfortunate things could have happened to Tesla that it wouldn't have got to this place. And fortunately, it has gotten to this place of massive success, right? And so, unfortunately, sometimes things will go wrong. In terms of like dealing with YouTube comments, and nowadays it doesn't affect me at all. But back then, 2017, man, it hurt, man. It hurt in a big way, because I'm like, dude, I'm good at this shit. Like, I'm we don't want to cuss. I'm like legit at this. Like, you don't even know. And like, here I am, and like that stock, it was just, it took a while to get over it, man. It was a tough moment, but it is. I can imagine,
man. So. I'm just praying more course comes through, or else I'm gonna have a lot of angry subscribers. I'm gonna have a lot of angry subscribers, man. But no, that's sick. I really appreciate the insight, because I don't think enough people think like that. A lot of people, like even Warren Buffett had his losers. Absolutely everybody who invests for any period of time is going to have their losers. You know what I mean? And if you're coming to YouTube to look for somebody to give you 100% exact right trades, exact investments, you're in the wrong place. Even your financial investor is going to make poor decisions, and I'm not a financial advisor. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. But I appreciate that feedback. Okay. And you just spoke about Tesla. And obviously, I'd like to speak to you about Tesla a little bit. So, in regards to them, what do you think about the current evaluation? I know you made a video a little while ago saying you think they could hover around, I forget exactly what the range was, but for a little while. But where do you think the company could be in, say, 5 to 10 years? And I know a lot of people look for you in regards to info on Tesla. What do you think of ARK's golden goose scenario? Okay, and the likelihood of Tesla literally being a 10 to 15 times stock in that short of a time period?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing I'll say in regards to valuation of Tesla is I feel like Tesla, I think you have to look at the stock as it's priced in a lot of growth, right? I mean, we're talking about a stock that today probably has a $80 billion valuation. Yeah. So I think you just have to, even if as a long, you have to just understand like this stock is priced in a lot of growth in the future. So Tesla's still got to put up a lot of numbers over the next several years to make all these numbers that make the valuation make sense, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Everybody's got to admit. But at the same time, when you think about what Tesla could potentially be doing in 5 years out, 10 years out, those numbers get really exciting and really big in the automobile space. I mean, if you're talking about if they were to grab 10% market share, 15% market share, never mind if they can grab 25%. Or, I mean, imagine if, in the United States, for instance, imagine if they could ever get a market share of autos where Apple has on smartphones, where it's like they sell like almost half of them. The numbers get crazy. So they got to execute on a lot. A lot's been priced in. There's a big valuation on it. There's no doubt about that. We all got to admit that the valuation's massive, but the potential's massive for them. Yeah. So
Tesla was one when I started getting into investing. Right, I did not give it the time of day. And now I am so disgusted with myself because it was maybe $400 a share. And I just thought, this is just hype. People are buying Elon Musk. I was like, they don't even make money. I didn't really understand the concept of how to even begin to value a growth company. You know what I mean? All I understood was value and maybe dividend plays and good balance sheets, etc., etc. And then as I started to adapt, I started to become a lot more of a growth investor. If you saw my portfolio now, you would see that. And I am kicking myself so much for not understanding that from the start. And it will forever haunt me that even I could have got in at $400 a share and I decided not to.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I'm sure, as you always say, there'll be more opportunities like that in the future. There's always going to be something coming up.
Exactly. That's the thing. I mean, there's thousands of stocks in the stock market. And I mean, as much as I love Tesla, I can guarantee you Tesla will not be the top performing stock in the stock market over the next 10 years. 100% guarantee you. I would say they're not even going to be the top 10, not even in the top 10 over the next 10 years, because there's so many smaller companies that, will have crazy exponential growth that haven't been priced in like that yet. Yeah. And so, when you really think about it like that, that's why people like, I don't want to take this, overtake where we're going with this, but I was talking with Cole, who's a person who works for me. He's in the Discord chat and things like that we have, and he was telling me how many people like overtrade, and how he'll get messages from people that feel like they have to buy or sell stock on that day. Yeah. And he was telling me how like even one guy, he's like, I'm bored. Like, don't I have to make a move? And it's like, if you're bored, research the next stock, man. There's thousands of stocks, and I guarantee you, every investor out there has not even researched 5% of those stocks.
No.
I mean, I probably know, I've been in the stock market for 12 years now, and I probably have good knowledge on 1% of the companies. Yeah. 1%. Literally. And I've been doing this for 12 years. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's just like,
I'm sure you always get it in the comment section as well. People ask me about a specific stock, and I just have to say, do you understand that it would take a team of thousands of people to understand enough about this company and every other company just to give you a reply saying, yes, I like them or I don't like them? Yeah. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks that just because you post to YouTube, you know everything about every company. And even the companies we probably look into and believe to do due diligence on, there's things we're going to miss as well. You know what I mean? There always is going to be. And there's always new news coming out. But that's sick. And actually, while we're on the topic of Tesla in particular, is it Tesla purely and entirely you're interested in, or is there any other innovation plays, or is there any other EV plays in particular that are of any interest to you?
EV plays, no. What attracts me to Tesla is really the brand and the technology and what they've proven. Yeah. So, it's one thing to talk about you're going to do this, and, Nikola is a perfect example, right? Let's hope that company works out and they thrive and things like that. But at the same time, they have a lot to prove. I like the fact that Tesla has proven so much. And so when I first started getting in that stock, which was 2000 and I think it was 18, I want to say, summer of 2018, I think it was. I first started buying Tesla stock, if I recall. They'd proven so much. And like, I had seen the product, experienced the product, and I was like, this is amazing. And, you know, they'd proven a lot. They had the tech and they had the brand. Like, you could all just feel like the Tesla brand, how important it was to people. And you're like, this is something big. And so when I look at the rest of the EV players, I don't feel that yet. It doesn't mean there can't be those type of players down the road, but it's so early stage. And just because Teslas work out, does that mean you can say, well, this next one's going to be, you know, that's what everybody wants to say. What's the next Tesla? Is it NIO? Is it this company, that company? Is it Nikola? And it's like, slow down, man. Tesla's a miracle. Like, let's be honest with ourselves.
I don't think, and me, I am a bull on EV, and anybody on this channel will tell you that, and I am invested in a few EV companies. But I still would 100% agree with what you have to say. I mean, none of these companies are anywhere near being the next Tesla. For one, most of them don't even sell cars. That's just the truth of it. Most of these companies people are getting excited about. Workhorse's last mile delivery. We have Helion with their powertrains, you know. Then there's NIO, who is in China. You know, it's a different situation altogether, okay? But they're not the next Tesla just because they're an electric vehicle, simply put. And to me, part of the reason I am getting involved is because I do think that it's one of them could end up being something really big, with the understanding that a few of them may go absolutely nowhere. You know what I mean? It's like trying to get into Tesla before it's Tesla. It's a much bigger risk, but the reward could also be absolutely insane. You know what I mean? So
that is true.
That was 100%. Because that was just something I actually wanted to ask you personally, because I haven't seen you speak about it much. So thanks for that. That's cool. Okay.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Something casual. Do you have any really memorable stocks that you've bought and still hold, or have sold at a big profit? Tesla excluded, because we all know about Tesla and loads of etc. Is there any other really memorable ones that when I say it, it kind of brings a smile to your face and you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot from back in the day before my YouTube days, like Cabela's, Monster Energy, some of those companies, Trinity Industries. Some of the biggest winners we have right now, Tesla kills everything. Like Tesla gains over 600%, like in the public account. The next one down would be, I think our next biggest gain is, probably e.l.f. Cosmetics.
e.l.f., okay.
We're at like 173% gain on that one. The next one after that would probably be maybe Planet 13, which in the public count, we're up over 100% now on that one.
Yeah.
Revolve is at like 99% gain, so it's almost a home run hit.
They just had a crazy day yesterday, didn't they? 22% or something, wasn't it?
22%, yeah. So that took us almost to home run territory on that. Skyworks Solutions, we're at like a 95 or 96% gain now in the public count. I feel like there's a couple
there's a lot of baggers. There's a lot of baggers in the public account even. No, that's
fortunately, man. Fortunately, it's been a hell of a last couple of years, you know. But you know, not so, like I said, sometimes it goes wrong, and you got to accept. Sometimes things aren't going to work out the way you thought they were, and sometimes it's just things are gonna go way better. Tesla, I never envisioned already having a 600% plus gain on that.
Yeah.
I thought maybe 2023, maybe I have a 600% gain on Tesla, but it's 2020 and to have a 600, it's gone way better than I thought it was going to go. Let's put it that way. So,
and that is, as we said, you can get both lucky and unlucky in the market, no matter how much due diligence you do, no matter what you think is going to happen. Sometimes the market just does its thing. It does what is right. Anything can happen.
Yeah. That's the way I always view it. Investing is business. And when you're in business, man, some things are going to go better than you thought, and some things are going to go worse. And I always try to look at things from a businessman's point of view and make investment decisions rather than arbitrary looking at stock numbers. Let's make a business decision. Where's this business going? Because this is a business at the end of the day, and where's it going over the next 5 years?
Makes so much sense. And I don't think enough people appreciate that. A lot of people do. As you even just said, the example already from your Discord group, people get bored and they just go and buy a stock, or they go to a YouTube video and they just go and buy a stock. And it's like, you should be invested with the understanding that you want to get something. It's not just fun. It's if you want fun, go to the casino. Go to Win Resorts, something like that.
Yes, exactly. But it's honestly, I think it's in us men, we're the worst with it. I think it's maybe our testosterone or whatever. But we feel like if we don't do something today, like we're not worthy or we're not valid, or there's something mentally there. Like, and if we haven't made a trade this week or this month, we've got to do something.
I think it's a competition on YouTube now as well, because a lot of people are open about how much they invest in their portfolios. The next person wants to keep up. You know what I mean? So everybody wants to. everybody wants the biggest position in this new upcoming company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, if I have 100 shares in Workhorse, you have to have 110. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all, and again, I think that's just a man's mentality to an extent as well. It's crazy. And then you've all these people who get bored of long-term investing and just go sell their liver to go do an options trade on Tesla once a month.
No. Yes.
No, it's
that goes
crazy.
down the wrong way. But bored, and that's why I like being busy and not, people always like, oh man, they think it would be so awesome to just be retired and be an investor. And I actually think I'm a better investor by being busy, doing YouTube, helping out people in my private group and things like that. Because if I wasn't, I would be sitting around looking at stock prices all day and feel like I need to do something rather than my mind's busy. I'm worried about what YouTube video to put out, and somebody just sent me a Discord DM. I got to respond to that. And I'm doing this interview with you right now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
If
you have that time, you're looking for the next play. You are always looking for the next play, and you're going to create this play out of nothing that does not exist. But if you're busy, you're going to wait until the play comes to you. You know what I mean? You don't have to make one up, essentially.
Yeah.
No, that's sick. Okay.
No.
So
yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No. We can keep going on that all day.
I'm not a professional. Yeah, exactly. We'll be here till 2 a.m. your time. So after what we've just spoke about, I think it's fair to say you're focused on growth stocks. Okay, and constantly to find new ones. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Planet 13 right now, for example. How do you look for growth stocks before they're extremely popular, and how do you like to attempt to value them? Because obviously we can't value them in traditional ways. Is it predominantly just looking at future prospects, or the management teams come into it much? What is it that you look for?
Yeah, so I mean, if it's an early stage growth company, which Planet 13's really early stage for me, like that was less than a $200 million market cap when I first bought it.
Yeah.
For me, that's really, really early stage. So I don't usually go that far. But in early stage, management is more important than ever. Like always, a CEO is super important in a company. But when I'm thinking about an exponential growing company, that 5x, that 10x stock, that has that potential, I'm thinking about how do they get to that place? Is there can I put the story together in my head that makes sense over future years? So in Planet 13's situation, I can speak about that one. It's like, okay, they have this one massive superstore that does tens of millions of dollars in business. They could probably put another store in another major city that has tourism, and another major city, and there's probably 15 to 20 different US cities that could literally house a superstore. And then I got to thinking about their brands, and then you start running the numbers. Okay, if the stores on average can do this much revenue, this is what this will add up to in 5 years. Or have this many stores. You start working out on a whiteboard or on your iPad or something like that. And then, if the brands, let's say this brand fails, but this one succeeds, what would that brand be worth 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Yeah. And so you start putting all these things together, and you should start to be able to formulate a story on where the valuation could potentially go for this company, and where the net income could potentially go. And so in Planet 13's situation, I envision that company, having basically net income of $100 million or more in 5 years, so 2025. And if I get to that place, then this is a company that should have potentially a $2 billion market cap on it, if not more than that. And that would be just trading at a 20 PE, right?
Yeah.
And so when I start running those numbers, it's, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is pretty dang exciting. It's a market cap under 200 mil, and I could see it having a $2 billion market cap. And so that's where, you really start to figure out those numbers. Tesla, for instance, it was more about figuring out, okay, if they could get such and such market share of the EVs, how realistic is that in 2025 and 2030? And start working out those numbers. And when I was buying in Tesla, it was like a $40 billion market cap or so, somewhere around there roughly. And I was like, dude, this has potential to be hundreds of billions of dollars market cap in the future, if not $500 billion. And so that's really where I go with it. It's about figuring out, can you put the pieces of the story together? Does it make sense? And would it make sense for them to get there? How, what's the risk versus reward? And, when sometimes you find those stocks, it's just like, it's almost like it's too good to be true, man.
Yeah, I feel that. So it's kind of just try to put the puzzle together, see where they are now, see where you need them to be for them to be worthwhile, and see what the path will look like to get there, and if it is even possible for them to get there.
Yeah. And two things, I'll say real quick here for the newer investors, so they understand a few things I think is going to be important. Is one, newer investors, like it takes time. You got to get experience, and you'll get better and better at picking. I've been doing this for 12 years now, and so it's easier for me to put puzzles together and figure out these things. If you're new to the stock market, man, it's not easy. You're still learning. So that's why I say for newer investors, usually stick to value stocks, in my personal opinion, because it's way easier to value Coca-Cola,
Yes.
Yes. And then value Tesla. It's so much, it's like you could be like, okay, this Coca-Cola's trading at 22 p. That's too high.
Let me just open up Seeking Alpha. Let me just it's written out there in front of you. My first video is, man, we'll throw it back just like that. I got into it. I thought I was going to be a dividend investor, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
And man, those videos were the easiest videos in the world to make. Now a workhorse video, I don't know what kind of loopholes I go around in, but you're trying to figure out the pieces of the puzzle. And I end up looking at, government's nephews and things like that. And I'm like, how does all of this work? I know more about America's political issues than I've ever known in the past from the stock market. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would definitely agree with that. I think I got to accelerate my learning because I'm YouTube full time. So I'm probably looking into stocks 8 hours a day at least anyway, if you know what I mean? So you kind of pick things up a lot quicker than if you're doing a casual half an hour a day. But go value Coca-Cola first of all, people. Very easy to. Or even go to Apple.
Procter and Gamble, Johnson and Johnson. And the other point I want to bring out to the newer investors is not every company you're going to understand, and don't get frustrated with that, because a lot of people, they think they're gonna, like, there's so many industries and sectors I don't touch, even though I've been in the stock market for 12 years, that I can't wrap my head around it. I'm like, somebody was bringing up this, biopharmaceutical company the other day, and they're telling me how much, potential it has. I'm like, my brain just, I'm not afraid to say it, my brain just can't wrap around that. I can't understand every stock in every industry. And if you can't, like, respect, like, it's no problem. Like, just move on to the next one. You're going to find plenty of stocks out there you will, like, be able to wrap your head around and, like, formulate an opinion on.
Yeah.
So
definitely. I agree with that as well. Bio is, again, the only sector I wouldn't even consider having a look at. And I've said that on YouTube before. It's like, I don't understand it. And the volatility is absolutely insane. I mean, if you want that kind of movement, just go to options, or go to, you know what I mean? It's like, that's what bio looks like to me. The movements are absolutely insane. Anything can send them going. But I do think that's some great solid advice. Definitely, at least, because a lot of people don't even really know how to start valuing stocks, So, like, get started on the easy ones. Don't throw yourself into the next growth stock. Get started on the dividend kings and aristocrats. See if you can see trends. Just do the research. That's really the amount of time you put in.
It's like, if you're new to the stock market, it's like, imagine if you never ran before, right? You wouldn't go out there and say, let's go run 5 miles at a such and such pace. You know what I mean? It'd be like, okay, let's go try to run around the track once or twice, and let's go from there. Otherwise you're gonna end up in, it's just not gonna work, right? You like, oh, I never benched before, let me go bench 300 pounds, and it falls on your chest, and your whole chest explodes.
Literally.
It's one step at a time, and graduate.
Look through the sheets. If you don't understand what something is, Google it. PE ratio. It will tell you exactly what it is. It will tell you what it means. It will give you guidelines of what it should be. Anything that is on a balance sheet, that's on any even Q10 form, you will be able to find out what it means, and it will make you better. I remember watching one of your videos when I started investing. I don't know, it might have been an investing for beginners one or something, and you spoke about 10Ks and 10Qs. And I was like, I remember opening up my first one, and I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? And now I was trying to look through it, and it took me hours to even look through one. I don't even remember what companies it was. But now you open one up, and it's like, where you're looking, what you're looking out for. And it's like, the more you do it, the repetition, you don't have to scan every single word of a Q10. You know what I mean? You can look through it. It's just repetition. And people ask me, how did I come to understand them? And I mean, when I tell you guys, I opened up my first one ever, and I was just looking at the screen like this. I was like, what is happening? And you just do it over and over again, and you realize it's straightforward enough when you know where you're looking realistically. Okay. So, do you generally have exit plans for your positions, or do you just hold until fundamentals change?
So I hold until fundamentals change. Like, let's say I just want to get out of that stock. I'm just done with it. Or if there's a scenario where I might not have free money at a particular time, and I want to, there's a better stock. You know, let's say I hold a stock and I'm like, this is a pretty good stock I'm holding, but I don't have much free money right now. And there's this other stock over here that I just researched the last 2 weeks, and this stock has massive potential. That could be a scenario I sell. And outside of those two scenarios, honestly, I'm not a big seller of stocks. And you know, people even in my private group, they'll DM me and they're like, "Are you thinking about selling anything soon?" It's, no. Like why would I want to? I hold a lot of great. Like why do I need to sell Facebook stock? Like why do I need to sell, you know, Tesla stock or Elf? Like why? Like so I can pay a bunch of taxes on that, and then it just, you know what I mean? You know, if you hold really truly great companies, usually there's not much reason to sell. So
I was there as well. Workhorse a few days back, 22% gain, I believe it was, maybe it was 23%. And my comment section, well, no, we lost a lot of that value straight away. But anyway, it was a good day.
Okay.
And the comment section says, did you sell? Did you take profits? And I was like, I'm not looking for a 23% gain. You know what I mean? I'm looking to hold this company for years and have hundreds of percent gains. And then as well, in regards to selling to be able to invest in other stocks, I've done that multiple times as well when I started investing, but I just want to make it clear to people, you shouldn't sell a stock that you still heavily believe in just to get into another one that you believe in equally, because I've seen people do this, and I've had conversations with people who've done this, and I just want to make that clear to people, is just because you're researching this sexy company now doesn't mean you should forget about every other company you've ever done your 20 hours of due diligence on. You know what I mean? So if your cash is tied up, look for the weakest player and transfer. I've done that. You don't need to sell everything to go all in on one company that you really like that might do something cool in a month.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's about over time building out a really strong portfolio. And, you know, people ask me, like, how long does it usually take to do that? It usually takes at least a year, if not 2 to 3 years, to really build like a true portfolio that you're super proud of and you love. And there's like 5, 10, maybe even up to 12 stocks in that portfolio that are really kick-ass companies. Like really good companies. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to, you know, build, and you build another position, and you're like, oh, there's this great position I can build around. And I mean, one of the things I'm kind of like preaching heavy right now is, you know, and this isn't for like the beginners in the stock market, but I'm like, for advanced investors, I think the biggest thing in taking that next leap to becoming from like an okay investor or like a good investor to becoming great is really making sure you're great at growth stocks, value stocks, dividend stocks. Because what I find is a lot of investors aren't, like, one might be a strength, but then they aren't good at another one or another one. And like, I feel like if you really want to become a great investor, I feel like you have to be all three. And it's going to take years to get there. It's not like one day you wake up and you're created growth investing value, because you got to prove to yourself you're good. But I feel like that's like the next wave, because sometimes growth stocks are rip off. Sometimes value stocks are a rip-off. Sometimes dividend stocks are a rip-off. Like, it all depends. But, you know, if you can find those opportunities with a great dividend stock that will pay you consistently and give you gains, phenomenal, man. If you can find that great growth stock that has that, you know, double up, triple up, quadruple up opportunity, great, man. So that's something I've just been preaching heavy, you know.
I love that.
Especially to experienced people.
Yeah, definitely. Because I do think a lot of people just get really tied up in, they think, not like that. They think there's sectors, and they want to diversify their portfolio through these sectors, you know, and maybe they're just in dividends and they have their consumer discretionary, staples, etc., but they don't think about the different kinds of investments, literally just all in the stock market. And what I actually want to ask you about now, okay, because I'm interested about this, is value stocks and how you like to go and look for value stocks. Because I'll be honest, I'll say it on the channel right now, this is probably where I would still struggle the most, okay? So I find I'm fairly confident in evaluating my dividend companies. To an extent, I'm relatively confident in finding my growth stocks. I do still think there's a lot to be learned, but value plays are something that I still find difficult to, you know, find a good one at least. So would you have any advice for, say, somebody like me who somewhat understands what we're looking for, but just really struggles to find those companies?
It's really with value stocks, it's all about valuation. So when you ever think I'm going for a value stock, think valuation, because that's where the magic happens. It's not really about, you know, Planet 13 at Tesla. It's, you know, valuation is kind of secondary. It's more about the growth story, right? And what's going to happen in 5, 10 years. Value stock, valuation. So when I find, like, let me give you 3 different examples of value stocks I found last year or 2 that have worked out tremendously well for us. Cheesecake Factory, Elf Cosmetics, and National Beverage Corporation, otherwise known as Fizzy Get Dizzy, right? Yeah. These three stocks were all value plays. Elf was a beaten down stock everybody had forgotten about. And I had, I'd seen Jeffree Star do a video on Elf that was getting like 5-10 million views, and then a lot of other creators, and they were really positive videos about Elf Cosmetics.
Yeah.
And so when I was seeing all these YouTubers and whatnot doing videos about a new line Elf had, and the stock was beaten down, it was like $7 or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, this is valuation. This valuation just makes sense. There's the risk reward is going to be really attractive. And although Elf hasn't been a super strong growth company, it was just the fact that it went from a company that was beaten down and everybody kicked and thought was dead to all of a sudden they started growing again. And even though it's not like a Tesla growth or a Planet 13, it's like they grew 5-10%. You can go double up your money. And Elf's gone from 7, when I was buying it, to I think it's 20 now.
Yeah.
And that's an incredible gain in a year and a half or whatever. Yes. Fizzy Get Dizzy, that was one that was beaten down really heavily. And I kind of saw there, and I put the trends of like, people just mass buying water related products. Yeah. They have the #1 sparkling beverage. So it's about like putting that story together and like figuring out this valuation was just too low. When Fizz is under $40, it just didn't make sense. And yeah. And then Cheesecake Factory is one of the newer ones that I got in about 2 months ago or so. And with Cheesecake Factory, that's not some super high growth company. It's a value stock, but it was kicked, and it was like $20 or under $20 when I was kind of looking into this and getting in it. And it was like, there's a stock that's going to be 40, plus again. There's no question they're going to make it through this mess. And it's going to be a $40 plus stock, in my opinion, based upon our research, based upon what I understand about the brand, the profitability once, business returns, and also seeing the way management was running the business. And so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that type of stock that's beaten down, Wall Street's forgotten about, and that's where the opportunity is with value stocks, in my opinion. It's not actually, it's not as simple as let's just buy Procter & Gamble and Johnson & Johnson. That's not where the real money's made in value stocks. The real money's made in value stocks when you can find that type of stock that's just like beaten down. Everybody forgot about it. No one cares about it, and they got something really exciting going, man. Yeah, that's going to turn that business around.
So you need to find a company that still, to an extent, has proven themselves to grow in the past, but something has happened for some reason that has bet them down horrifically. You want to wait till everybody's forgot about them, till there's blood in the water. You get in, and then you believe that ultimately they'll come back to where they once were. Wall Street will pick them up again. They'll gain mass attention. That's kind of what we're looking for in our value plays.
Exactly. That's the way real money's made, in my opinion, in value stocks. Okay. There's nothing wrong with buying, Coca-Cola and Pepsi and whatever. But you're not gonna double up your money in those stocks. They're just not, unless you got 100 years.
When you were looking at Carnival, is that that's a value stock right now? Would airlines would they be value stocks right now?
To a certain extent, that's really tough, man.
Asking the tough questions.
That's a really tough one, because those have a lot of issues to work through that might take years.
And fundamentals have changed much more there than they would have said for the Cheesecake Factory.
Yes, exactly. Carnival, I think they're going to make it through this mess, and I think they'll see better days in the future than they are seeing now. Yeah. I'll say, I believe a lot more in a Carnival than I do in an airline. And the reason being is, I think, when you think about like the cruise industry, there's so many different ways to make money in that industry, right? Yeah. Airlines, it's like, how do you make money as an airline? Pretty much the person pays a ticket and that's about it, right? I mean, I fly, plenty of places, and I never spend any money other than a ticket. When you go on a cruise, you're paying to get on that cruise ship, okay? Then you're paying for alcohol on the cruise ship. Then if you want to eat at the nicer restaurants, you're paying for the restaurant. Yeah, you're paying for that. Then there's shops all on the cruise ship, and you go buy a watch, and you buy a shirt, and you buy this, and you buy that. And there's a casino on the ship. And so when you're on that ship, there's so many ways that they make, they can make $1,000, $2,000 on a client that, only spent $300 to get on that ship. And so that's why I actually like the cruise business a lot better than like the airline business, I guess you could say. Airlines are needs, but they're really super commoditized, and there's such a limited income stream from them.
Funny story on airlines. That was one of the sectors I really liked when I first started, and I did well on them in the end. I got out of Delta. I had like I think it was maybe a low 20s cost average. Maybe it was 23, 24. I'm not sure. And that massive spike happened. We went up over 70%. I took some profits and I ultimately sold everything in the green. And I was in Southwest and the same happened.
Congrats.
Even at that, I was able to, I didn't make the full 70 by any means, but I made decent money anyway. And then I remember a lot of people were asking me, why are you selling? You're such a big bull on airlines. And I was like, well, let's just have a look at the world. Let's have a look at the TSA checkpoint numbers. I was like, let's just have a look at all these things. There is no world that this should be happening. I was like, I've seen this happen enough times to know, do I want to hold this and have it go back down to the red before we come back up? Or do I just want to take my money and put it into the next stock? And that was one of those examples where I sold, even though I really did believe in the company. I was like, I don't believe in them at this price, at this point in time. You know what I mean? But a little bit about, let's talk about Carnival for another minute, if that's okay, and the cruise line industry in general, because that was another one that did really interest me, sorry. And man, I've said this, I haven't spoken about them on the channel in ages, but there was a stage of life where I had this phone here in my hand, and I had Carnival, okay? And I had 100 shares written in, and they were $8 a share. And I didn't click the button. I didn't click the button. And so then since then it's been a sore point, because even now I do see where, from a long-term perspective, as we just discussed, they're a value stock. And especially if they are to get through, I think that's the only real question. If they get through the virus, they're 100% going up. There's no doubt about it in anybody's mind. But I just find it so hard to buy now at this price after missing out back then. You know, I haven't revisited them for a while, but what do you think about them currently? Have anything changed since you last spoke about them? Do you think it's going to be longer recovery than expected?
I think they're looking, I mean, you never know what can happen to a stock price. It could get priced in way sooner in terms of like the stock price going up, like just Wall Street figuring out. I think if we're thinking about stock price getting moving, I think once the ships start going again, and I think once some investors start seeing all those people on those ships and things like that, I think that's more of like a 2021 thing. Yeah. But I mean, I think there's value to be had here. Can I see Carnival, quite a bit higher in 2 or 3 years than what it is today? More than likely, honestly. I think it's a stock you have to limit risk in because it is in a scary sector, and you never know what if Rona takes back off and what if it gets worse, and so you really have to limit risk in it. You have to treat it similar to like a spec stock, in my opinion, where you can build a position in it, but it's not like you can build it as your biggest position or something like that. It can be like one of those smaller guys. Cool. But I mean, is Carnival higher in 3 years than today? Probably, to be honest.
No, that's cool. That's cool. No, I appreciate that. That was nice. That was some nice examples in regards to value, because I still get asked about value stocks a lot, and I'm like, honestly, guys, I'm no good at them yet. You know what I mean? I don't pretend to be, just like I don't pretend to know anything about biotech. I'm like, I stay away from those right now. But I am going to start trying to make myself a more rounded investor, get into them more often. So keep your eyes peeled for a top value stock video.
Right. It's awesome you're covering your journey too, man. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you're covering, your learnings in the market and your trials and, things that are going to go wrong and things that are going to go well. And like, you get to learn along with everybody on your channel. I think that's really funny.
It's sick, and I really do like it, and I am the kind of person who I'm always happy to be open about what's going on in regards to me, whether things are going good or bad. And I just think doing that, it lets people trust you a lot more. Like, I mean, I have a lot of people on this channel who I feel like I've known for 10 years, which is really weird, but there really is. But I think a lot of people appreciate that when you're open with both your wins and losses, which as well is something you've always done through your public accounts. You can't have it much more out there, you know what I mean? But I love it. And I do think that the comment section helps us out a lot of the time as well, me in particular, because obviously I'm still able to read every single comment, so I can see what people are saying, what needs to change, what's good. And they help propel you really quickly. So shout out to you, viewers, especially if you're still here. I don't even know how long this video is yet, but
they'll be here still. Don't worry. They're waiting for to hear some stock pick from me. No,
they're waiting for the last question. They're waiting for the last question.
He's got to sneak something in here.
Just give me time. Give me time. Just a little one. Do you have a favorite sector right now?
Ooh, a favorite sector right now. Probably not. I mean, I've been so into Planet 13 that, I mean, I guess it's natural. Like, maybe I could say the marijuana sector or the cannabis or the MJ sector or whatever. But, the thing is with me, when it comes to sectors, there's very specific stocks I like in a sector, right? for instance, I like Tesla, but I don't really like anything else in the EV space.
Yeah.
I like Planet 13, but I don't really like anything else in the MJ space right now. So I'm not really one of those type of investors that just like will look at a sector and just buy everything.
Yeah.
I'm like really like specific on what I choose. So, I mean, if I had to choose, I think the restaurant industry is one that's still really beaten down. Some of those stocks have come back a decent amount, but a lot of them are still really beaten down.
Yeah.
And you know, the really top players, they're going to make it through this mess, and they will see better days, and they will see big profits pour in, you know, in future years. This is just a really bad year for them.
Yeah.
So maybe if I had to be put on the spot, maybe the restaurant sector might be the most interesting.
And could I ask you in regards to, let's talk Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and Google. I couldn't think of it.
Okay.
Don't worry about Netflix. I don't really care about Netflix. But in regards to those big guys, what do you own positions in Facebook and Apple anyway?
No, Apple I don't anymore.
Oh, you don't?
No, I sold out of that a while back, and I put that money in Tesla. Thank goodness. Thank goodness, because Apple, it kept going up even after I sold it. It went up and up. But thank goodness I put it in. You know, nothing could beat Tesla. Pretty much.
Nothing could do that.
But only Facebook. So
only Facebook.
not that I have anything against other guys. You know, Apple, you know, Microsoft, Google, Amazon. It's just more like Facebook just has always been such an easy money stock, in my opinion. There's very few stocks I call easy money, which easy money stock for me is one that has like an insanely low risk that you lose money in 5 years on that stock, like almost impossible, and a super high probability that you will double up or more than double up your money. That's how I coin an easy money stock, and I'm looking at it from a 5 years perspective. And so when it came to, like, you know, Facebook, that was just when I got in that one that was more like 2018. And I think I continued to buy even in 2019. And we got like a 153 cost basis in the public count on that one. And that's just like, I mean, it's just a profit machine. Like, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's WhatsApp. Like, almost everybody in the world uses one of those apps. You know what I mean? Like, and some people are on them all. They'll be on Facebook, and they switch to Instagram, and they switch to WhatsApp. You know what I mean? And it's hard not to be on at least one of those services, I feel like. And if you're an if you're an advertiser, you spend a lot of money on Facebook. You know, we spend a lot of money on Facebook, like with retargeting ads and those sorts of things. And I see what type of money we spend on it. And you know, I just have a smaller business. I'm like, imagine what big companies spend. And all that goes straight to pretty much the bottom line. Once you get those fixed costs done, all that advertising money, straight to the bottom line. And that's why Google and Facebook and some of those companies can be so profitable, because it's just, man, it's a beautiful business model once you know,
I absolutely
once you get past those fixed costs.
Definitely love them. And I remember doing my research, my due diligence into them, and I was like, I'm trying my hardest to find something I don't like. And it's like the only thing that could even come close could be what's going on right now, the antitrust issues that are going on, because I know there's been things similar to that in the past, but I was like, we've seen it happen in the past. We've seen things like this many times, and every time it's been okay. And I mean, even if something does have to change, which it has in the past, it's never affected Facebook's bottom line. You know what I mean? They've had to make privacy updates and things of the likes in the past. I remember that day that came out, I was talking about Facebook a considerable amount when that happened, when they took their 10% dip, the ad boycott. Remember that? They took a 10% dip for the ad boycott. And I remember getting so many comments like, oh, look what's happening. And I was just like, I bought more. And now if you go look from that day, it's up over 20%. Like, you know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
Who cares about the ad boycott? It's Facebook. They're going to be okay. There's a few big companies that account for more than likely less than 1% of the company's revenue who don't want to advertise because they're going to get free advertising from people like me and you speaking about it. I'm like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, and there's a lot of investors in really great companies. There's a lot of investors on that sideline waiting to get in. They're just waiting for that dip in that stock, you know, and that's why some of these stocks come back really fast. Like Facebook, you mentioned that 10% dip. It was down, and then what was it? A couple days later, it was already above where it was, and it's everybody was like, "This stock's doomed." It's like, no, you don't know how many funds are just dying for Facebook to go down 10% so they can buy in.
We're better off seeing Facebook go down 10% than we are 3%, because if it goes down, that's everybody's going to plunge in there. If it's a company that big of a market cap, it's crazy. I've seen it happen so many times now.
You know how many people are begging for Tesla, like, go down 30% one day or something. You know, there's people just like, Elon, please go on Joe Rogan and smoke a joint or something, man.
On tweet, Joe Rogan, where are you? Where are you? Please. Imagine he comes out just a tattoo of a joint on his forehead. That would be the best day ever for Tesla investors. I would be. Like, who wants 2 livers? Who wants a kidney? You can have whatever you want. Yeah. Is there So let's stay on the tech sector for a second. Is there any other tech stocks that you do like that are big companies, not necessarily, our growth stocks? Is there any big tech companies you do like?
In terms of big tech, nothing I like from the perspective of I have to own it, or I have to buy it tomorrow or something. I mean, I love, Apple and Amazon and Google. Like those are good stocks. I'm just like, it's not like stocks that scream like I've got to put my money in them tomorrow. At the valuations they're at right now. So when it comes to big tech, there's really nothing that interests me right now. No, that I'm like, I got to go buy this. Some small techs do, something like a Cirrus Logic, ticker symbol Cruise. It's an audio chip supplier to Apple. Yeah. So it's a supplier to Apple. Yeah. Some smaller players like that in the tech space interest me, but there's not a lot. A lot of the 5G stocks have gone up a lot now in terms of the stocks that are going to be kind of at the forefront of 5G technology. I own some Qualcomm, and unfortunately I didn't buy it heavy enough. I should have bought so much more Qualcomm than I bought.
Such a small position, because I bought it. I only really started investing considerably heavier in the last maybe 2 months. You know what I mean? Because that's when I started making money. I didn't have much money to invest, So when I bought Qualcomm, it probably was over 2 months ago. And obviously it's up nicely, but it was a tiny position. And I'm like, that one hurts. That one hurts.
Skyworks Solutions ran a lot now. That was a big one that, I mean, they're still going to grow a lot with 5G, in terms of what they're going to be able to get for their chips inside smartphones and other devices at 5G. That one's ran a lot now. And so, I mean, a lot of tech is priced in a lot of growth, I feel like. And so, that's why you don't see me buying many tech stocks right now, because it's just kind of like, I'll hold, but I'm not like, there's nothing excited out there that's really, there's nothing out there that says I got to go put 100K in blah, blah, blah stock.
They're kind of in this purgatory between growth, between value. They're kind of just in the middle somewhere. I think that's what attracted me to them at the start, was I saw them as just being safe. I knew that, these weren't going to be the craziest things in the world, but I thought if I just start investing here, I'll be okay. Nothing's going to go too wrong. You know what I mean? And I'm still trying to build the foundations of my portfolio. I think everybody who starts investing always looks back and thinks, I wish I started investing 2 years ago because everything was so much cheaper. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to get that thought process out of my mind. I'm trying to think, okay, I want to invest in companies who I'm going to look back at in 2 years' time and think, I'm so glad I started investing, because now they're so much more expensive. So I kind of had to get that out of my mind at first. When I started investing, I think I was investing more than 3 months before I touched any of the big tech, because I just thought everything was so overvalued and there's no way it can keep going up. At some stage, everything has to die. And then I was like, that's not really true. You just start to realize, they're the biggest for a reason.
Yeah, no doubt. No, and it's funny, something I'll just point out, you were talking about kind of, you're still building out your portfolio and getting to the place you want. And the funny thing is, when I look back at the stocks I was invested in my first year or two, I thought they were really good stocks back then. And now I look back, I'm like, ooh, trash, man. I wouldn't even touch those stocks now. So don't be surprised if you buy some stocks the next year or two, that all of a sudden you look back and you're like, dude, what was I doing in that stock?
One of my, it was hilarious. So I started investing. I put like a couple of $100 into the market just to learn how to buy stocks. And I remember buying Eastman Chemical and Franklin Resources, okay? And I went back and I was like, I have no idea what these companies do. I was like, they both have a really nice dividend yield, but what do they do? I was like, if somebody asked me, what does Franklin Resource do? I was like, they're an asset management company. I didn't know a thing. And I think that's really funny. And I don't know if I've said this on the channel before, but everybody does those things, I think, at the start. We all, and I'm going to do it again over the next 6 months, over the next year or something. But it's just funny to see how far things go, even in such a short period of time. But oh man, I remember those ones. I will forever remember those two companies.
Oh gosh,
So, tough one here. Okay, tough one. Okay.
Yes.
If you're only able to invest in, let's say, 3 stocks right now in the current market at current valuations, at current prices.
Okay.
Assume you don't have a portfolio. And I just say, look, you have to buy 3 stocks. Here's some money. You have to do it. You know what I mean? What would you be looking at? What would you be eyeing up?
I would go Facebook because I'm just like, the ROI is just too attractive. Even still, even though it's gone up a lot since I bought, even here, Facebook's one of those stocks that's almost always a buy. I'm going to include Planet 13 just because it's that stock that even though it's gone up a ton, it still has massive potential upside, in my opinion, over the next 5-10 years. So I got to buy that one. That third slot, man, people are going to be really hurt when it's not Tesla. I might go with Skyworks Solutions.
Skyworks. Ooh,
yeah. It's close. It's between Skyworks and Tesla for that third spot.
So
that would
Tesla,
be a tough
even
one.
Tesla at these price points would still be very high up there then.
Yeah, it would still be very high up there. I would have to. Yeah, it would be between them and Skyworks. It would be close, man. That'd be a nail biter. Facebook and Plant 13 are the for sures, and then it's between Skyworks and Tesla, man.
Okay.
That's tough though.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking, I was like, thanks. I'm glad I'm not getting asked this question. Good.
Yeah, Tesla's been crazy, man. Because I think we have a $200 something cost basis on that one, 227 or whatever. And so, man, I can't even imagine buying a 1600. But if I could only buy 3 stocks, it's tempting,
crazy, man. I was going to say that as well. So obviously, dollar cost average is something that a lot of people speak about. But do you prefer to be able to just, when you've done your due diligence, if you think now is a good time to buy, are you one of these people who really likes pumping money into it and trying not to invest more so as not to hurt the dollar costs? Because obviously you have that price on Tesla. It'll be very hard to add anything to that.
I mean, for me, it's more like the risk reward. And so, because I do get that a lot. And it's pretty rare that I buy a stock that I'm up more than 10% on.
Okay.
That's usually kind of the number in my head that if I'm up more than 10%, it's really tough for me to buy more. But I will say, sometimes I'll do it. For instance, Planet 13 is a perfect example. That one, I think my original, cost basis in the public account's like $1.25. And then I continue to buy it in my main private account and then another couple accounts. In one of my accounts, I think I have a cost basis of $1.70. Yeah. So although that one, I started at $1.25, I continue to buy even though it had gone up substantially. Just because when I was really thinking about it, I was like, if I really think this stock's going to 10 plus over the next, 5 years or whatever, whether I buy at $1.70 or $2 or $1.50, does it really matter? No. Yeah, it's all gravy in the end, man.
That's good.
And so I think I've probably cost myself more money than anything, just for the mere fact that sometimes I'll get stubborn on positions. And for the beginners out there, people that are in the stock market, sometimes, you can cost yourself money by just, you're kind of like, dang, I bought it in at this price and now it's gone up and maybe I shouldn't buy it. It's like, if it has massive potential upside, who cares, man?
Yeah.
If you were buying Tesla at 200 or 300 or 250, does it matter? No, it's 1600 today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It's
I think, for a lot of people, myself included, we may not have the money readily available as well to go in on a position that we want. So like, that's somewhere I want to get to. Because there has been a few times in the past where I've had companies do really well. Virgin Galactic was one. My initial cost basis, I got up over 70%. And if I had any sort of a decent amount of capital there, I would have ran for the hills. You know what I mean? But at the time, it was a very small amount of money. I didn't even care. Like, it was that insubstantial, So now that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why I'm trying to grind and make more money so that in the future, I can invest once, have a nice position and watch it ride. Because as well, my problem with dollar cost averaging has been I've made quite a few good buys, but I didn't have enough money to put it all at once. So stocks have gone up. I've had to buy more. I've had the dollar cost average down, which, is never a particularly fun thing to do. But lately
it's been a hard market to get positions built. And I've like a lot of members in my private group have had that issue where they'll buy in, and because the market's been really hot and especially if you're buying into really good stocks, they've had trouble getting positions built because it's just up and up and up and up. Yeah. But that ultimately doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
This market will slow, and then we'll have a dip, and then people will be able to get positions built. That's there's really that's why I say there's kind of nothing to ever fear in the stock market, because if you get in a hot stock market, great. The positions you already have built are just going to continue to rise. You get to make more and more money, right? If you have, let's say we have a down market for the next 2 years. Great, you get to build out a ton of great positions and a ton of great companies without having to worry about the stock might be up 20% tomorrow.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's really, there's nothing to be scared of in the stock market, in my opinion, as long as you know what you're looking for in stocks, and as long as you know what you're doing.
Once you're staying there for years. It's like, it does not really matter. There's always going to be another time to buy. There'll be your good days, there'll be your bad days, and that's what I tried to get across in yesterday's video, the psychology one as well. I was like, people be going crazy. You know what I mean? It's like the NASDAQ sees 3 days that aren't as good as the S&P and the Dow, and the whole world's in it. You know what I mean? And then yesterday, the NASDAQ just destroyed again. You know what I mean? It's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But that's all absolutely sick, man. Been fantastic. I suppose one last kind of piece we'll speak about was, I know we've already given some advice to people, but would there be any words of advice you'd like to give to the audience, whether they're new investors, medium term, long term? Is there any advice that you think people should know, or is there anything that you want to get off your chest?
I would just say, stay long term. On YouTube and anywhere on social media, you're going to get bombarded with day trading ads, and ads that get you try to be in a short term mentality and those sorts of things. Ultimately focus on the long term of these companies. That's where the real money's made. Most people that get in these short term activities lose money. It's just facts. It's just statistically speaking. It's not. I feel like long term investing is not that complicated. Like, as long as you know what you're doing, what you're looking for. Like, there's so many great companies that will prosper over the next 5, 10, 15 years. And just focus on that, man. And those principles you learn about long-term investing will help you if you ever want to build a business or do something else, because you're just going to learn so much, man. And you get on that wavelength of how real money's made. I always look at the people that are billionaires. None of those people focus on short-term crap. They're all big player thinkers. And that's the way they thought before they had billions, and they're focused on the long term and making long-term decisions in their businesses and their companies and their investments. And so that's the biggest thing. I just long-term, man. Focus on the long-term, and all the short-term mumbo jumbo will be the short-term mumbo jumbo. But the long-term is where it's at, man.
That is awesome, man.
Everything.
That is awesome. So. Yeah, definitely share the exact same philosophy there. You know what I mean? I think that's something that got into my head very early on, was that, okay, things are going to happen. There's going to be good days. There's going to be bad days. You're going to make good choices. You're going to make bad choices. At the end of the day, the longer you are in the market, not even invested, but just the longer you're in this industry as a whole, it's all going to get better. It really is that simple. You know what I mean? And is there anywhere you'd like me to direct people who may have watched till the end of the video who would like to know more things about you?
Oh, no. Watch Jack's channel. Don't watch mine.
Don't watch mine. Jesus, man. Well, in that case, Jeremy, genuinely, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'm sure the viewers will as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me, Jack. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate your channel. Keep going on your journey. I'm loving it, man. I'm going to keep watching, so I appreciate you, man.
Means a lot, brother. Thank you so much.
Shout out to Ireland.
Shout out Ireland. Let's go Ireland, baby. Okay.
There we have it. Some really insightful stuff was brought up in that video. I thoroughly enjoyed just speaking with Jeremy and having a conversation back and forth. I think you probably learned quite a bit about both me and Jeremy, our past. I think our personalities got to come out a little bit more than usual. It was just like having a conversation with a friend. It was really enjoyable. If you guys do want me to keep making videos like this where I, do Q&As and interview people that you will all know, please do just show your support in this video. If you've stuck around until the end, you are a true legend. I mean, The truest of true legends. This video was a long one. I think it's over an hour long. So I really do appreciate you and all of your support so much, and I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. I do want to start bringing really insightful and entertaining videos. I don't just want to speak about stocks every day. I do want to get special guests on who have way more information than me. So if there is anyone you'd like to see me interview, do just let me know in the comment section and I will reach out to them. I'll do my best. But anyway guys, thank you all so much for sticking around till the end of the video. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. I will see you for the next video. Peace.